The following content may contain elements that are not suitable for some audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
My name is Joe. Let me tell you about the 2 times that I died.
Tell me about the first time you ever used any drugs or alcohol.
The first time I ever used drugs was, I'd have to say I was 15. And I walked in on my best friends. I've seen them in the closet, and I was like, man, what are y'all doing in there, And so I just peeked around there being nosy, and I seen some white lines chopped up, and they're like, go ahead, get you one, man. And, I'd heard my mom had been doing it too, so, it's kind of like, I was like, I want to check it out. So as soon as I did it, I was hooked, man. I done ran away from home, I had a missing person report for like a year and a half. They was looking for me, I took off from home because I was on probation and stuff.
So when you saw they were in the closet doing something and you saw those lines, what was it?
It was meth. Yeah, it was actually crank. Yeah, Red Phosphorus crank at the time.
Okay, and you were 15 when you first tried that?
Yeah, 15 years old.
So then tell us, from you trying the crank for the first time to then running away from home, how did that happen?
Oh, you mean like as far as why did I run away from home? Man, my mom, she called my probation officer on me, man. I felt just like totally, I don't know, betrayed, so once she did that, I was just like, didn't want nothing to do with her, so I just kind of hid out from her and my probation officer. So I had gotten some trouble recent before that, before I had tried the meth. I was just smoking weed and stuff, and we vandalized some houses, me and a couple buddies, and I was on probation, for it. So, and then she called my probation officer on me because, I wasn't coming home, I was always gone and stuff, and because I started using meth, so.
How old were you when you first tried smoking weed?
When I first smoking weed, probably 14. I'd say 14 years old.
Who introduced you to the weed?
Some buddies from school. Yeah.
And you were in what grade at that time?
Ooh, let's see, that'd be 3rd, 4th grade, wouldn't it? I think so. 4th grade.
And by the time you had tried meth for the first time, you were in what grade?
6th or 7th grade, yeah.
So between 4th grade and about 6th or 7th grade, you had already gone from trying weed to trying crank.
Right.
And then how did it progress from there?
Man, my criminal behavior just was off the charts. I was just constantly stealing at Walmarts. I went to prison when I was 18. Well, they tried me as an adult, 17. And by the time I was 18, I was in prison. But I had committed I think it was 33 counts of burglary in one night. That's just what they had caught me for that night, me and another buddy of mine. So I had caught 33 counts of burglary, possession of marijuana, possession of paraphernalia, possession of meth, possession of a firearm. So, and they sent me to prison over it.
How many times had you been to juvenile hall before you were sent to prison?
I never went to juvenile hall. I hid out for that year and a half, so they never could put me in juvie,
So the first time that you were ever essentially locked up, you went to prison.
Yeah, I went to prison.
And you were tried as an adult at 17.
Yeah, I'd actually turned 18 in the county, waiting to pull chains to go to prison. It was like a boot camp the first time I went down, and I did a year on that. So,
what was it like turning 18 in county jail?
Man, it was pretty scary. It really was real scary, and especially when I pulled chains and I pulled up, seen them gates. I was scared to death. I really was.
What would you say to some young boys who are maybe getting into similar situations that you were getting into at that time? What would you tell them, to maybe warn them to get off that path before they end up in prison or jail and have their 18th birthday in jail?
Man, it's not good. I wish I could take that back. I wish I could go back then and do it different, for sure. I'd like to graduate school, maybe went to college. It's just been a path of pure chaos, criminal behavior, just wilding out, It's constantly outrunning the police. I mean, that's what it became because, after that, I never made bond or never told on nobody. So, it was stuck in there. So I didn't want to let them catch me, I could give it everything I had. So, before I went to prison the next time, I had well, that wasn't before prison. But anyway, I had at one time when I had warrants for arrest, I had 23 eludes, and the 24th time they had caught me, and that was from running on foot or being in somebody else's car, I would just give it hell. I'd get away, do what I'd have to do to get away.
So why did you go to prison for the second time?
The second time, yeah, I'm trying to think back. For stealing cars. Yeah, I was stealing cars on that one. On that occasion, I had 3 different cases for unauthorized use of a motor vehicle. And at that time, that wasn't my time when I had the 23 and 1, but I had learned then though how to outrun the police. So I just pushed as far as I could out in the woods and run through the thickest thickets and get away. I got away, but yeah, I did 4 years on the 4 different cases I had of unauthorized use of a motor vehicle. And, it just went from there. In prison, the criminal behavior just got worse and worse. It was just a party in there, continuous using, fighting, tattooing. It was just wilding out. Instead of going down security, I was at a minimum and I went up security. I went to a medium, then a medium max, just continued to get worse and worse. And then I started to figure it out, as far as being a knothead. It's time to chill out. I started getting some food in my locker, started figuring out a different way of life than tricking off my last suit. Instead I'm storing it out to, I was hustling, I figured out how to hustle a little different and trying to be a little different person. So, and at that time I learned, that I didn't steal from people no more. I thought it was okay to steal from businesses, like I started stealing from Walmarts or stores and stuff. I quit stealing from people because, in there they learn that if you steal from a person, they'll run you down through there. They'll kill you. I went to court 3 different times. I've got beat up by 3 or 4 dudes at a time, just for making the wrong decision in there. It's a different lifestyle.
Explain to people how once you're locked up, how you have to play by different rules and maybe some things that you learned being a young man growing up in the correctional system.
Man, it's such a different lifestyle. Like, I'll explain one of the times I went to court because I ran with the Indians in there. So one of the situations, I smoked deuce a lot while I was in there, so I was constantly figuring out how to hustle, how I was going to get high for the day. But so one of the occasions was, one of the guys that was in my room, he was, I know that he was telling on me and stuff for the things I was doing. So, and I knew he got a fat sack of commissary every week. So me and my buddy, we waited till one time he come in there and brought his canteen in there, and then he took a few things out to go pay his bill. Well, me and my buddy, we grabbed the stuff up and took off. So, yeah, I got a fat ass sack of canteen and stuff, and so the guy that was running the Indian car, he's like, he figured out what we was doing because we tried to offer him some food and stuff, and then he was trying to make me break him off like half of it or something like that, or he was going to run me down through there, as far as go to court, get beat up and stuff. I was like, nah, man, I'm not doing that. This is my lick, What pissed the dude off, and so he got them brothers and stuff, like they ran, like they was gonna vote off like beat me out, like hurt me, you know what I mean? Like beat me off the yard, that's like feed on you, you might come out retarded. I've seen a few people get beat up like that while I was in prison, I've seen this one dude get his eyeball knocked out. I was like, it was like a movie or something crazy. When they were sitting there voting for that, I was really scared for my life. I was like, man, what did I do?
How old were you then?
Oh, I was 24, 25. Yeah. So anyway, when you're in prison like that, they expect you to, if you're going to take something from somebody, you do it to their face, So I had to take his canteen back down there. It was like, after I got beat up, I'm all lumped up, look like Willie Lump Lump. And I took his stuff back down there, and this dude is monstrous, man. He's a big dude. I thought he was going to want to fight, but he didn't want to. He's just like, man, I respect you. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. But, because the dude had told on me and stuff, so I really didn't care too much for him. But, yeah, I had to take his canteen back to him. Pretty crazy deal, but.
Would you have rather been outside doing something else, living a different life if you could be doing something different?
Yeah, I'm definitely not glorifying it at all. It was a pretty horrible way to spend my 20s.
What do you think you could have been doing had you not chose that path?
Man, I mean, just as far as seeing what I'm capable of in my criminal behavior, like I've did quite a bit of stuff and came up that way. So I wish I could have put it to the good and did something different with my life.
Right. You hear about that a lot, about how, a lot of criminal masterminds could have been CEOs of Fortune 500 companies if they had taken those same skill sets and applied it in a different way. Why do you think people end up in these situations where they're not able to use their talents for good, and instead of ends up working in this other way where you kind of become this criminal mastermind?
Man, I believe it could be, as far as even parents, as far as having a set of parents that's there for you. I never had a dad. It's a single mom. She used at that time, so it's just all I've ever seen. So I just kind of ventured out there and was just in the streets, just seeing all that this bull. So I just kind of went with the flow. And
What sort of advice or words of encouragement could you give to boys who are in similar situations that maybe you were in when you were 12, 13, 14, 15, the first time you decided to do some hard drugs? What would you say to them that they could be doing to not go down the same path that you went down?
man, say no to crack. Say no to it, man. It's no good. You feel good for the time being, but it all comes to a head. It all comes to an end. Always.
So even though you saw your mom who was doing drugs, even though you had these friends who were around you who were peer pressuring you, what do you think you could have done differently to not succumb to that peer pressure, or feel like that it was an okay thing to do because you saw your mom doing it?
Man, that's a good question right there. I don't know. I never really thought too deep on that, but yeah, I definitely wouldn't want to take that path. If you can take a different road, take a different road. Reach out, something. Talk to somebody. Try to hang out with the sober people. Try to stay away from those people.
I think that's great advice.
Man, I got it even gets a better story as far as like when I get out of prison, when I meet my wife, when I get into drug court, like I actually wanted the sobriety, and stuff, and like I have some good buddies that's in prison and they're millionaires, they sell meth, they've run bully business. Well, I got entangled with them, so being sober, I got on a business level type style shit, and I was getting 10, 15 pounds at a time. I made $250,000 in a year, but I stayed sober. That's how I was doing it. But even though that criminal behavior, it led me right back to using, because emotional relapse, as far as she graduated before I did, she started using. I was like, oh, so you want to fuck it off? Let's fuck it off. So I started getting high. Here it is. And the next thing you know, I'm in jail, and she's got $100,000 of mine. I'm like, I need out.
What other drugs did you do then, or what was your drug of choice?
Oh, it became fentanyl. I mean, while I'm here now, it's fentanyl. I've died twice from it.
Tell us about the first time you died.
The first time I died, one of my best friends got out of prison. He's IBH, it's the Indian Brotherhood. That's Oklahoma. Anyway, he had took me off the streets, like he had set a lot of money up while he was in prison selling meth. So when he got out, he had a nice house. So he's like, man, you ain't got to live on the streets no more. Move in, bro. And I move in with him, and he hands me a sack of pills. It was the real inbox 30s. It was the real Roxy's. Now they have these fake inbox 30s that are fentanyl. Well, anyway, so I became to doing that more than I was doing meth. I noticed myself becoming an opiate addict. So one night, me and this girl, we had went out and got some pills, and we bring them back to the house. And I give my best friend some, him and his girl some, and his girl noticed it. She's like, "Hey, these ain't real. These ain't the real deal." And I hadn't seen them yet. So I had took 2.5 of them and crushed them up, and I put them in a baster and squeezed all the medicine out at once, and I drew them up, and I shot them, and I woke up 4 days later from a coma. Yeah, my best friend actually took and put me in the truck. Him and his wife and this other girl took me and dropped me off in front of the hospital and knocked on the window, and they took off running. And I woke up 4 days later, and immediately my mom's there, and she's like, Joe, this girl needs to go. She's like, it's either her or me. I'm like, bye, Mom. It hurt her feelings real bad. I felt really bad about that, but like she hadn't been no part of my life, and all of a sudden she's gonna show up and try to make me choose right when I'm waking up, like from a coma. It's like bye bye, Mom. I felt bad, but that's the way it was.
So that was a time that you were using fentanyl and you died.
I didn't even know that I was using fentanyl then. That's before it was really popular for my town.
So how long did it take before you decided to use fentanyl again?
Oh man, I left the hospital and I went and done my rents. The same thing that killed me. I went and tried to get high off that same shot that killed me. Yeah, that was all that was there. I went right back to the house and tried to do it. It was because I was an opiate addict, so
So even though the fact that you had just flatlined, died, woke up in the hospital, not even know what happened for the past 4 days,
yeah,
your addiction was so strong that you got out of the hospital and decided to go do it again.
yeah, yeah.
And then how long did it take until you died again the second time?
Um, that's the time when I was out running the police that whole time, my wife, had gotten drug court, and I tried to do the drug court with her. That was like right when I got out of prison. I tried to do the drug court with her. Well, they had to put warrants out for my arrest. So I had went on the run. So I was like constantly out running the police. And, so my wife, she got drug court and she was still trying to talk, mess with me and stuff. And I had got her pregnant and she had relapsed all in the same time that she had to break it to the judge that she was pregnant. She also had to tell him she relapsed. So they sent her off. She went for like 100 something days to a treatment center. So I'm still out here on the streets, out running the police, living with my brother. And then finally I get jammed up. I was on his motorcycle. I'd ran out of fuel. I was on a crotch rocket at Gixxer, and I'd ran out of gas. And they come out there and found me in the woods while I was asleep, And so anyway, the drug court administrator, she asked my wife, she's like, because she didn't come back from treatment at this time. And she's like, hey, ain't that your baby daddy that's in jail right now? She's like, how would you feel about him getting in the program? She's like, yeah, I like that. So either way I get out and get in drug court is like the best thing that's ever happened to me. It really is. Like a lot of people talk down about drug court and stuff, but I think it's an awesome thing to go through if you've been through the things I have, because it taught me how to be a man. It taught me how to take care of business. Like immediately, I got a house for us. Within 2 weeks, I'd got a car, a house, a job, and I had her moved in with me. So yeah, like I hustled, just completely switched it around and kind of seen what I was capable of. That's to the good. So I was doing everything right, like this house I'd lived in, where I moved in, was completely, like, it was condemned. Like, there's blood shots on the wall, there's roaches everywhere. Like, so I started in the garage, I cleaned it out, and painted the walls, and, like, trying to make it roach free. Like, I was trying to get her to come live with me, and she's like, no fucking way, man. It's too many roaches. She's like, too many roaches for me, so, it took her, like, another week before I kind of cleaned the kitchen out, enough for it. She'd come over and help me a little bit. And she had actually got caught staying the night with me over there, so I thought we was gonna have to break it to the judge. Like I thought she was getting ready to get in trouble. They actually let her move in with me, like seeing all the good I had done. They didn't even bring up the bad. So I was like, "Are you ready to move in with him?" She's like, "Yeah." So anyway, we knocked out the house. Like I completely remodeled this whole house. So that's kind of like I got rent free to redo this place, and like I completely redone it.
So how did you go from that time in drug court and like getting your shit together to then falling back off the horse?
That's when I started talking to my buddy in prison. And, like I started out just selling like an ounce, I was like just getting a little extra money, and yeah, it went from that to next thing you know, I'm getting pounds, and I didn't even start at that time getting the pounds until like I had relapsed after she graduated. And I was just getting ounces at that time. Well, I had relapsed and they put me in jail. And so when they let me back out of jail, like I was going to try to do it straight again. We had moved in another place. We had to give that place up because the people that was tied to that house actually was all tied into the selling the dope and stuff. The whole group of people was people that I know that was involved with meth. So I really shouldn't even started out there. I kind of set myself up for failure. And so when I got out of jail, I was going to try to do it right again, and that's when she started using heroin and stuff. And man, I had to put her in a motel room and detox her like for 4 days. I found another house within the week, moved her back in with me like really fast, made it happen. So, and then I went to getting pounds, and it went crazy from there. I mean, I bought some new land. Like I bought 2 acres of land, and I bought a camper trailer. Started out like that, like a nice 2015, 3 slide outs, and we started out living in that. And then that's when I bought like a $50,000 2018 Clayton mobile home trailer, had it moved up there, like all this is going on behind drug court's back. They don't even know I have none of this stuff going on. We're still wearing our same Nike shoes. We might have got some new Nikes and stuff, but we wasn't showboating or none of that stuff. We was just doing it right. We thought we were doing it right. And just having that dope and stuff, and it just led right back to the same crap.
So how much time did it take then from you when you fell back off and getting to rehab this time? How much time elapsed?
Oh man. So yeah, like I did do something with, like, I had $20,000 I had put up for when drug court terminated me so I could bond out and get a lawyer this time. I never had that before. So I made sure I had that actually buried in the ground for that reason. I had a PVC pipe, and, so I went and hired the best lawyer they have in Salisal. And he said the only way he could keep me from going to prison is if I did a long-term rehabilitation, So this is the fourth time I've tried to come do something with it, like getting lucky with the court systems, like hit and miss. Like, my court date was coming up, like, so I went and checked myself in somewhere, and, I having my phone with me, and I had all these cameras and stuff at my house, and I'm sitting there watching my wife, do things that, like, there was no way I could stay at this rehab. Like, I left, it was just driving me crazy, so this time she actually came with me, so.
Explain to people who've never been to rehab before the difference between the rehab that you're at right now versus the other rehab treatment centers that you'd been to.
Man, I wouldn't even call it a rehab. The one I was going to in Oklahoma, it was called Ray's House. He's just patting his pockets, like all he was doing is sending you out to work. He didn't even realize that about an opiate addiction. Like, here it is, I'm just like now starting to get sick, and he's like trying to crack the whip. Get out there and work. Get out there and work. There was no way possible I could do it, So he actually took me to a detox, what he called a detox place, but it was like for crazies, they didn't even give me no kind of, there wasn't no, Suboxone or none of that stuff. It was just like drying it out, in there. So it was pretty horrible, man. It was really bad.
Explain the detox process that you've been through here.
Man, it's been awesome. I was kind of scared. At first, we didn't get our Suboxone at first like we thought we was going to, but it ended up coming. And it actually was easier than I thought it was going to be. Yeah. Really, I was kind of worried about my wife wanting to leave and stuff, and she handled it like a G too. So we both handled it and knocked it out. Pretty simple. Once we got the meds, it was simple. It was really simple to detox.
So what would you tell somebody that's scared of withdrawing off of fentanyl or pills or meth, and they're thinking about, yeah, I want to detox, I want to stop doing this, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, but I'm scared of the withdrawals? What would you say?
Man, go for it. It's definitely worth it. I feel so good right now. It's definitely looking up compared to what it was looking like a month ago. Like, I'm getting ready to go do a 10-year bid. I'll do 3.5 on it. I'm so glad I came. I'm so glad she came. I'm glad we're doing this, man, because I was worried about her dying too. She just started becoming an IV user. Super horrible, man. It's super horrible to watch her go from being smoking it to sticking a needle in her arm. Like, we've went all these years of me using, like, I've been an IV user, but I've respected the fact that she didn't do it. So she never seen my needles. She never seen me doing none of that shit. And then just from the times of me being locked up or going to these rehabs and her hanging out with all this crowd of people, it became okay with her. She was all right with it. And the next thing you know, she's sticking a needle in her arm about 6 to 8 weeks before we came here.
Explain to people how that happens, how you go from being maybe recreational drug user or somebody who's a smoker or a sniffer to somebody who's using intravenously.
Man, this fentanyl thing it's really crazy. Like, I was always a meth addict, and once I started using it, it just took over my life. I mean, it was like we had a $200 habit a day. We was doing 10 to 15 pills a day. So I'm cutting off people's Cadillac converters. I mean, somebody's getting it. You know what I mean? Like, we're waiting on me sick. So that became my hustle out there. We was cutting Cadillac converters, and it's just, what I mean? Like, somebody could have walked out there and seen me cutting their Cadillac converter off and shot me. at any time. You know, it's a wild life. It was a wild ride.
Why do you think you're still here and that you didn't die?
Man, I know my family needs me, so I know I'm a definitely. I know I need to be here for my family. I got 2 little girls. I haven't mentioned them yet. I got a 4-year-old with her, and I got an 11-year-old with my ex-wife. Uh, they definitely need their dad, so I didn't have that, and I'm here, and I want to be in their lives for sure. So,
So tell me about the second time that you almost died.
um, man, I went to go pick up the pills that I had ordered. It was like 40 something pills. Well, somehow I already done like 5 pills or so. Like, well, I had the 35 pills that I had left. I had them stuck in, and they were in a bloom, but I had them like in my butt crack. You know, I already had like I had them hid right there. You know, just in case. You know, and then I stopped and picked up her fentanyl powder that she had ordered, and I had them stuck in a little secret side pocket. You know, and they were going in the bathroom. They were going in there to make them a shot up, and I was like, "Hey, y'all, mix me one up, you know, too, whatever." And you know, I already knew how dangerous this stuff was. You know, it was raw fentanyl powder. You know, I'd seen them do it at my house, but I just had been smoking it. So, like I said, she didn't shoot up at the time, so I was away from her. So I was like, "Hey, y'all, mix me one up. I'm gonna try it too." So I'm pumping gas at this store, and they come out from the bathroom, and they hand me the rig or whatever, and it's like, man, it's just, you know, it ain't a whole lot, you know, it's a little shot. It's like, be careful with it, you know, it's just fucking. So, you know, I do the shot about halfway through. I'm like, man, I feel this shit, you know, and I fucking went all the way with it. And next thing you know, I'm coming to and getting Narcan in the ambulance. Like, I'm in there squirming, like, what the fuck, you know? And like, he's like, man, you just OD'd. Or, he's like, you know why you're in here, right? I'm like, no, I don't. You know, I was like wanting out. And he's like, you just did some fentanyl powder, or just did some fentanyl, didn't you? And I was like, you know, I was trying to deny it, you know. He's like, you're not in any trouble or nothing. I was like, no, I didn't. He's like, yeah. He's like, we Narcaned you 4 times to bring you back. He's like, you're lucky to be alive. So like the people that give me the shot, like his wife, they live like a mile away. Like she jammed to the house, like drove to the house and got a Narcan while her husband's there doing CPR on me. You know what I mean? Like they're waiting on the ambulance. She comes back and Narcans me. The police didn't even have no Narcan on them. So he Narcans me. I still don't come to. Like it took 4 of them to bring me back. So I was in the ambulance whenever they finally got me to come to, and the cops was going through my pockets while I was down like that trying to find whatever I had. And dude had already hid the rig. He had moved my vehicle. So, and they was going through my pockets. They didn't find the powder I had or the 35 pills that I had back there. So I know I'm going to the hospital. I'm like, man, let me out of here. He's like, no, we can't do that. And so like I refused, like as soon as they got me to the hospital, like I refused treatment, refused anything from them because I didn't want them to strip me down and find those pills. I was like, man, you could have problems with your brain because you wasn't breathing I hadn't breathed for like 5 minutes.
So you weren't breathing for 5 minutes the second time?
5 minutes. I don't see how I'm still alive, and I'm alive today. That's pretty scary.
Wow.
Yeah. And what I do, like I left the hospital and my pill man that I just got those pills from, he lived like 3 blocks up the road. I went right to his house and started getting high again.
Same day.
Same hour.
So you feel like then being a part of a single parent household, living with a single mother, not having some of the maybe what you consider luxuries that some of the other children had, that sort of fueled your desire to want to do that. And then do you feel like maybe some of these criminal behaviors that you picked up led to the drug usage?
Yes, in a way. I don't know. I've been an addict ever since ever since I could remember of of my criminal behavior being bad. You know, it was just all tied together for sure. You know, I've always wanted to look for some substance to alter the mind. You know, in the meantime, I was gonna do what I had to do to get that or the luxuries. You know.
What sort of things have you learned here while being in rehab that you think will help you moving forward to stay sober?
What things have I learned? Man, it feels good to be sober. It feels good to not have to be sick or to worry about how I'm gonna hustle to get me and my wife well. It's a misery, man. It was such a misery to, you know, if I wasn't gonna get it, she was gonna take off and go, you know, use her ways, you know, and we know that ain't good. But, you know, like, yeah, it was definitely, you know, a hassle to have to come up with 10 to 15 pills a day to keep us well. And I mean, that's hustling your ass off. That's hustling right there. And it, you know, if I could turn that to the good, that's what me and her was just talking about, you know, like we could have this same stuff here, you know, if you turn it to the good, because
And that's exactly what I try to show you guys, bro, is because a lot of these stories I can't relate to maybe some of the drug ones, but my dad was an alcoholic and a drug addict my whole life, functioning. He always had a job, always paid the rent and stuff like that, but for fun he liked to get fucked up. That's what he did for fun. We didn't work on cars, we didn't go to, you know, the gym together. You know, that's what he liked to do. And I learned at a young age that if someone was going to be doing drugs around me, I might as well be making the money. That was how my little mind would logically think at, you know, 12, 13 years old. And going through juvenile hall, jail, almost prison, you know, halfway houses, hearing from guards, hearing from lawyers, hearing from judges, hearing from different CEOs, what are you doing here? Like, this isn't for you. Like, this isn't your life. Like, you're better than this. Like, you can be doing something else with your life. After hearing it for so many times, I finally decided let me try to do something different. And I've created all of this life, bro, with the same skill sets that I had doing the wrong things that I'm now using for good. And look at the sort of things that we're capable of when we set our mind to it, you know?
that's one thing I do have is I have a paid for place. You know, I have 2 acres. I have a 2018 Clayton mobile home. You know, it's ours still. I've lost all of our cars and stuff, but you know, either way, we still have a home paid for to come home to. So that's something we have to look forward to being sober. We ain't got the experience being sober in that place yet, you know. And you know, for 2018, we've kind of torn it up a little bit as far as fighting, because man, that's another thing in itself too, is the fight. The way, I mean, we got along perfect being sober in drug court, and now we're professional fighters. You know what I mean? Like, we be fighting every day. You know, she's afraid I did one more pill than she had, or you know, like, you're doing more drugs than me. You're like, what? Like, I share everything with you. What are you talking about? You know, it was a fight, man.
It sounds like it's a lot of drama and headache to have to
Man,
deal with all
dude.
the time.
I got some gray hair, don't I? Yeah, but I mean, you know, we're still kind of touching some of the bases, bickering back and forth as far as some of the stuff that went on. So we just gotta let go, and that'd be something cool too. Is, you know, some counseling. We got to get some counseling behind us. Definitely got to get some couples counseling behind us for sure.